External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar played deft diplomacy at the United Nations during his recent visit to New York. Firstly, he unveiled a bust of Mahatma Gandhi at the United Nations building in New York that symbolizes India's perennial message of peace to the world. Secondly, he held wide-ranging talks with the Secretary General of the United Nations on critical global issues and challenges. Dr. Jaishankar gave a befitting reply to Pakistani provocation when Pak Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari yet again raised the Kashmir issue during an open debate on reformed multilateralism. The Indian External Affairs Minister reminded the UNSC that a country like Pakistan that hosted Al-Qaeda terrorist Osama bin Laden and was instrumental on the terror attacks on Parliament by Pakistan-backed terror groups does not have the credentials to preach to the members of the UN Security Council. Incidentally, it was the 13th of December in 2001 when India's Parliament was attacked by Islamabad-backed and Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed terror outfits. The External Affairs Minister also sent a strong message across to China when he deplored the attempts to normalize terror threats in multilateral forums and said that the question of justifying what the world regards as unacceptable should not even arise. It was not so a hidden statement that clearly aimed at the repeated Chinese attempts to protect Pakistan-sponsored terrorists from sanctions in the UN Security Council and other forums. In a statement at the Global Counter-Terrorism Approach, Challenges and Way Forward, the External Affairs Minister said the growing potential for the misuse of new and emerging technologies by extremists, radicals and terrorists. Over the years, they have diversified their funding portfolio and expanded their recruitment toolkit. They exploit the anonymity afforded by new and emerging technologies such as virtual currencies for fundraising and finances. Terrorist groups have also been taking advantage of openness of democratic societies, spreading false narratives, inciting hatred, and radicalizing ideologies. We cannot let another 9/11 of New York or 26/11 of Mumbai happen again. In the last 2 decades, terrorism has been significantly countered and its justification delegitimized. Combating terrorism is a battle in which there is no respite. The world cannot afford attention deficits or tactical compromises. It is most of all for the Security Council to lead the global response in this regard. Dr. Jaishankar chaired the Norms or New Orientation for Reformed Multilateral System debate in the UN Security Council, gave one of his best diplomatic performances when he boldly and passionately argued in favor of speedier action on expansion of the UN Security Council to reflect altered global realities as compared to the time when the United Nations was established. He emphasized that while the debate on the UN reform is decades old and has remained inconclusive, the world has radically changed. The External Affairs Minister said, "We see that in terms of economic prosperity, technology capabilities, political influence and developmental progress, the changes have been rather dramatic." He emphasized that the broad dispersal of capabilities and responsibilities has been expressed, for example, in the emergence of the G20. Reference to the G20 was significant as India happens to be the current president of the G20, whereas India's aspiration to be a permanent member of the UN Security Council stays unfulfilled, mainly because of lack of progress in reformation of multilateral bodies, including the UN Security Council. Dr. Jaishankar also drew attention to the rise of India and its rightful demand to be a permanent member of the UN Security Council by highlighting India's role in combating the COVID-19 pandemic world over by donating and selling vaccines in large numbers to scores of countries around the world, underscoring the failure of current multilateral institutions to tackle contemporary global challenges emanating out of the pandemic and conflicts such as food, fertilizer, and energy security. Dr. Jaishankar urged concrete action to bring about reforms. He lamented that 3 decades since the formation of the open-ended working group on UNSC reforms, we have nothing to show. The reasons of the slow progress are not difficult to find. While 4 permanent members of the UN Security Council have repeatedly supported UN reforms and an expanded Security Council with India as one of the new permanent members, China continues to be the odd member out to oppose it. Interestingly, while China does not openly oppose membership of India in the UN Security Council, it has no intention to work for UN reforms where countries such as India and Japan may be co-opted as permanent members of the UN Security Council. Pakistan amusingly supports expansion of the membership of the UN Security Council but opposes the idea of increasing the number of permanent members of that body. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar has appropriately alerted the international community that the relevance and effectiveness of multilateral bodies, including the UN Security Council, can be enhanced only when they are adequately reformed to suit the political, economic, military and technological realities of the present-day world.